Welcome to Living Lit, where conversations spark inspiration to live in truth. Journey together with us to explore what it means to live a liturgical life and walk in the truth of our faith. Let's instill a culture in our hearts, homes, families, and world, living a life cooperating with and walking alongside our Lord. I'm Robin Brueggemann. Let's be a light, share the light, shine the light, and live lit. On this week's show, my special guest is Melissa from the Catholic Garden. She can be found sowing seeds of faith on social media and her website, The Catholic Garden. Her and her family have a sweet Etsy shop that has gardening kits, Marian seeds, Bible and nature study, even Marian-themed tea. She is generously offering a discount to you during the month of May. Use code MARYGARDEN for 15% off. Thank you, Melissa. Now be sure to visit the Catholic Garden after you listen to this week's show. April showers bring May flowers and the month of Mary. And May is for Mary in the Catholic Church. So we have, each month is dedicated to something very special in our Catholic faith. May happens to be Mary, and we think a lot of mothers this time of the year, don't we? In May, we think of our own mothers, the mothers who have influenced us in our life, whether it's a mother, a grandmother, a godmother, an aunt, a special friend. But it also draws our attention to our Blessed Mother, Mary. And I think what a great way to honor our Blessed Mother through flowers, right? So quite often, if you're going to get your mom something for Mother's Day, you might get her flowers, right? So we're going to talk today about Mary gardening, which is such a fun event. So we're going to talk about flowers and Mary gardening and our Blessed Mother and how flowers can draw you closer to our Blessed Mother. And of course, we know that our Blessed Mother leads us straight to the Lord. So by enjoying flowers and getting to appreciate them more, we can actually become more connected to our Creator. So I have a very special guest on today, and this is so fun. A little fun fact. When I was young, a young girl, I lived in Washington State. My dad was in the military. So I grew up as a military kid. My dad was in the Navy, and I lived in Washington. So I spent a little time there. It's a special place, and through Instagram, I came to know this very sweet gal who has the Catholic Garden. Her name is Melissa. So we were kind of chatting a few times over the last year, and I come to find out she was from Washington State. So we kind of had this connection there. And anyways, we have been talking Mary gardening off and on, and she is so knowledgeable, so sweet, so authentic. I can't wait for you to meet her. So Melissa, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Robin, for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This Washington is so State. It is raining here. So.
Is it?
Yes.
You know, I told Melissa that, so the last time I was in Washington I was pregnant with my oldest, so 20 some years ago. And when we were there, it was before having kids, and my husband was gifted a hat from my great uncle that says Washington Rain Festival, rain 365 days a year. And that's kind of, Washington's kind of a rainy state, but it's so beautiful. And actually, it is where I have seen the most tulips ever in my life.
Yes.
Tulip
we
fields
have,
that grow.
Tulip Festival right 30 minutes away from here. So we have lots of tulips around.
It's a beautiful sight to see. So would you like to share just real quick a little bit about you, your family? Who do you have for family, kiddos? Give us some fun stuff about Melissa.
So I'm a mother of 8 wonderful kids. I've been married to my husband, Dan, for 21 years. And I've always enjoyed planting flowers. And so at a young age, I was introduced obviously to flowers through just the beauty of the backyard, and neighbors had flowers, and my grandmother grew flowers. So just as a child, introduced that way. And then through Catholic school, we would have Mary crownings, and we would, as children, would be asked to bring flowers to Mary, and we were assigned to Mary. And I just always loved the smell of the roses and the hymns, and it was just so beautiful. And as I got older, I grew in my love for flowers. And so I decided to start a website called thecatholicgarden.com, and it kind of grew into a social media account called Catholic Garden. And we provide seeds and education on the growing and planting and education of through Mary Gardens.
Which is so great. That's how I stumbled upon you somehow with the Mary gardening. And what I love is you inspire others in gardening, but most importantly, what I see through your ministry is our Blessed Mother. And that it just shines through so beautifully in your ministry. And what I love about what you provide is Mary gardening, I think, is becoming a little more popular. It's not new, and you'll share about that in a minute here. But I think it's kind of being revived. And
Yeah. Yeah.
what I love is you provide the tools, the education for starters, because you have on your social media platforms and stuff, you have how to's like how to do this seed or whatever.
Yes.
I love that and what I love too is it's like you basically are just inviting other people onto your journey. This is your life, this is your passion, this is your ministry, this is your gift, the gift that God gave to you, this love for flowers and gardening and our Blessed Mother. And by living that, you have just been inviting all the rest of us onto this journey into that with you. And so you have been you're just a great resource of how to, because I'm actually not a green thumb. And people might think, oh my gosh, yes, right. I'm not. It might look like it on some of the pictures I share. I can keep perennials alive and most flowers. But as far as like vegetables and stuff, that's like my husband and kids. But so I so appreciate the education that you're sharing with the growing of the seeds. But then the absolute icing on the cake is you show the connection of different plants and flowers and how they specifically tie in to our Blessed Mother. So there's so much symbolism, so much intentionality. So do you want to give like a background on, because you have you do all kinds of research, you're reading, you're looking at different, pictures, books, whatever, on Mary gardening, and you have kind of stumbled upon where some roots can be traced back to with some Mary garden beginnings.
Yes. The first Mary Garden is believed to have started by Saint Fiacre, who was a priest in France in the 7th century, and he planted a Mary Garden. And fast forward to the 30s in the United States, in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, is believed to be the first Mary Garden in the United States. And there's a gentleman named John Stokes who I believe he was born in the 20s, and he was born a Quaker, and he had a conversion experience to Catholicism in his family's flower garden, not a Mary garden yet. We'll talk about that later, but in his own family's flower garden, he had a lightning bolt. It says a lightning bolt conversion to Catholicism, which I thought was wow, that is neat. And we'll talk about how beauty can draw people in, and how beauty can convert hearts, and beauty can transform hearts. Well, for him, it transformed his life, and he dedicated his life to sharing Mary Garden seeds, researching, going to Europe to look at the gardens there, and bringing all that knowledge back to the U.S. And he died in 2007. His name was John Stokes, and he left this great 2,000 page website called marygardens.org. It no longer exists, but it's in the hands of the University of Dayton in Ohio. They have this huge Marian library. So if any of the viewers are interested, there is just a treasure trove of Marian flower symbology. Like, I have pages where, if I have a flower in my yard and I'm not sure if it has a Marian name, usually it will. And I can look up that flower and I find the name, and it just wow, it comes to life. I love gardening and flower growing itself, but to add that religious aspect to it makes gardening a prayer. You're in your garden
Yes.
and you're surrounded by these flowers that tell a story. And I feel like John Stokes really had a hand in promoting that to this day. And I really appreciate all the work and others too that put all this information together. There's a book called Mary. I have it right here, Mary
Oh,
Flowers, and
nice.
the lady that wrote this, Vincenzina Krymall, um, she took his information and put it in a book, and it's just been such a blessing to me, and just a wonderful resource.
I
I
bet.
recommend anyone go and check that out.
Yeah. I love how, and we'll have some link connections so people can explore that further. I love how you say that gardening then becomes a prayer. That is
Yes.
so beautiful. What a beautiful way to look at it. Um, and it's just this incredible opportunity. I think, especially whether we're like in nature or in our garden. I mean, it could be even like having flowers in your home and just enjoying them if you're not a gardener. But just how we're drawn in with that beauty. And you and I have had some conversations over the phone too about this. How there's just so much beauty in flowers, in plants. And probably, there's probably a lot of flowers where many of us together think, oh yeah, I love that flower. But there's probably different flowers that stand out to each of us or whatever, different plants. But we're drawn into the beauty of it. And beauty is meant to draw our eyes back to the creator or up. We see this, we're meant to look up then to our Lord who created these things. And especially I see with plants, I think we talked a little bit about this. You're like, it's life. It is like this miraculous thing that takes place, like being a farm wife. I think that every year, like, I look at these barren fields that, then we till up and then we plant this seed, and then miraculously these plants, tons and tons of them, come up. And how our Lord can give us a seed and say, here you go, which of course he, created the seeds too, but he gives them to us and says, here, if you'd like to, you can take this and it's going to produce life. That is so miraculous that
Yep.
we can be trusted with this seed. We care for it. And then he takes care of this miracle of making it grow into something beautiful and something that it's for us. I mean, granted, we've got, of course, our vegetables and foods and things that either we consume or are meant to provide for the world with, farming or whatever. But then flowers, they're so meant for our enjoyment. It's like this treat from God. Like, I love you so much. I'm
Yes.
creating something so beautiful for you to enjoy. And so I think it is so true that like it does become a prayer when we are, even if we're not thinking prayer and going out to our garden thinking, I'm going to go have prayer time, which is great. A garden is an awesome place to intentionally go, but just how that beauty brings us into this like disposition to receive, and also this grateful heart, like this openness, I think. So I just love that, connecting that to prayer. So wonderful. So you have kind of showed us now kind of how Mary gardening kind of can be traced back. And I also love how this gentleman had a conversion in a Mary garden too. Like,
Yes.
because one can assume then it was the beauty that he was
Yes.
surrounded by.
A
Um,
lightning bolt conversion.
yeah, amazing.
Really
Amazing.
is.
So, so awesome. So so one of the things you really are so good at, and like you said, you're continually even like researching and looking at different plants that, you come across or that are in your yard or whatever, and trying to figure out, okay, which plant is this? What is its Marian name? Because many plants or flowers, have like their scientific name or whatever is that. I think that's how you'd call it, right? Like a
Yeah. Or
science name.
botanical or
Botanical. There we
Latin.
go.
Yeah.
But many of them have their what they're known for. Like I don't, what would you say? Not a slang word, but like a
A common name. The
common
common
name.
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
common name for the flower. And then you can take that, and that's where you can make the connection to either a title of Mary, a virtue, or different phrases. So do you want to give us some examples of that,
Sure.
just to give
Actually,
people
I
an
have.
idea? So yeah, to
Yeah.
those who are maybe listening through podcast, you might want to check the YouTube version out too, because Melissa has brought real flowers into where she's recording, and she's going to be showing us some of the special flowers she's brought in and their names, but you'll definitely, even if you're just listening to your podcast, you're still going to learn a lot here. So share with us what you have brought.
All right. Now this, I just picked these in my yard. I went out
Okay.
this morning and it was an idea that popped in my head. And
I
I'm like, you
love
know what?
it.
I'm just going to go bring these in for Robin.
Awesome.
So here is a lilac,
Okay.
and this is the Ascension flower because it usually blooms around the Feast of the Ascension, which is next month.
Oh,
So
sure enough.
it smells so good.
I love that because a lot of people have lilacs growing in their yard, whether they planted them there or they were there from when they bought their house, or there's something you see out and about.
Yes.
Lilacs. So love that Ascension
Here
flower.
is a daffodil,
Okay.
and it's Mary's star.
Mary Star.
Yes.
And is that because of if you look at the
I think
daffodil,
like the
like,
shape,
yeah, I can
maybe.
definitely see it on the screen, how it makes a star. Oh, I love it.
And then, of course, we have the tulip, which is Mary's prayer. And the tulip closes its petals at nighttime, just like Mary would be in prayer at nighttime,
Oh,
and
love
opens
it.
it up during the day. And it represents Mary taking in God's divine love. I
I
just think
love
that's so
it.
beautiful.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Being
So
opening up
beautiful.
to his
Yeah.
will.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And then we have this is Mary's mantle, which is not blooming yet, but it will bloom in about a month. But this is the leaf of Mary's mantle, and the rain droplets that fall in here, they form little pools. I don't know if you have one of these at your house, but it's really a beautiful flower when it does bloom. And it pools up at the bottom, and those represent Mary's tears. And I just think that's so pretty.
Oh,
So if you have this, check it out when it rains because it's really beautiful to look at.
yeah.
It's unique, the
Hmm.
little pools at the bottom of this flower.
So that particular one, this just makes me think of. So you and I are in different zones. So I'm in the Midwest here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You're in Arlington, Washington, way on the West Coast,
Yes.
right?
Zone
So,
8.
so you're zone 8, and
Yeah.
I am zone 4, I believe. I don't really know what that means or anything. I just know that there's always that map on the back of like a planting box or you're planting seeds. Do you happen to know, like, so most of what you've held up so far, I think the majority of us can grow as perennials, or for sure we can buy them in the store, especially this time of year, with, the end of Lent and Easter, for sure we're seeing them. The last one that you held up, that is like the tear collecting one. What was the name of that one again?
Mary's mantle. And it has beautiful yellow flowers that will bloom in about a month.
Okay. So do you know, is
Yeah.
that something that grows in the Midwest or that we can plant?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm
So
not.
we'll look into that one because I'm a nerd when it comes to the Mary gardening. So I'm like, okay, I totally need that in my Mary garden.
And this is, oops, let me get. This is the hellebore. It's still blooming. This will bloom from January to April. So it's a great flower to have in your garden if you're in the middle
Wow.
of winter and you want something,
So will
beautiful in
that
your
grow
garden.
in like it doesn't get below zero, does it in Washington? I can't
It
remember.
does.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does.
it survives. I
Oh
mean,
my word.
it,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
hardly ever does it get that cold, but I mean, it
Okay.
would survive.
Oh, that's
Yes,
awesome.
they're really hardy. They'll bloom in snow even.
Oh, that's
So,
beautiful. So what was
yes,
that
so this
one?
is the Lenten rose.
Okay.
Lenten rose, it blooms around Lent. And then also there's another variety that is called the Christmas rose, and it will
Oh,
bloom
sure.
around Christmas.
Oh, neat. Okay.
And then we have uh, strawberry flowers with the leaf, and the strawberries represent the fruitfulness of Mary.
Oh, I love it.
The blooms are white, representing her purity, and there's 5 petals representing the 5 wounds of Christ,
Oh, wow.
and the 3 leaves representing the Trinity.
Oh, wonderful. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. So to anybody who grows their own strawberries, that just shows how even in like some of our fruits and vegetables, the different flower blossoms also have that symbolism. But quite often, if you buy strawberries in the store, you'll have like the little top will still be on there with that little flower. So even buying strawberries, you could be reminded of our Blessed Mother.
Yes. And then here's my final flower. This is the
Oh, I
columbine.
love that one.
Just started in my yard. It's not quite blooming yet, but this is Our Lady's shoes.
Shoes.
And yes,
Okay.
and this was said to have grown along the path of Mary visiting her cousin Elizabeth.
Yes.
very beautiful. And also it represents the Holy Spirit because when it blooms, it looks like a dove.
Yes, it's so beautiful. I happen to have that one in my Mary garden, and we have it right at Mary's feet in our Mary garden, the
Oh,
columbine. So that grows really well here in our zone too, but that is a beautiful flower too. It almost has like these little trumpet things that come
yes.
out that are just incredible. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my
Yep.
goodness. So beautiful. It really gives someone, especially, like I say, I encourage if people are listening on the podcast to check out the YouTube this week because you have that visual of those plants and or flowers. And I love that those are pretty common flowers. I said,
Yes.
so you wouldn't have to grow them and have necessarily a Mary garden. You could enjoy them in a vase, like you could buy them and enjoy them that way too. So Mary gardening, is, like I guess I really, people do not need to have a green thumb at all. They so don't. And I so mean that. So I really want to encourage anybody, and it can be so simple. So we had Raquel from Little Rose Shop on a different episode talking about a Mary garden, and she has kind of like, she has this booklet, which we also connected to that episode, where it kind of gets you thinking about what would a Mary garden look like, from the simple to the very elaborate. Kind of walks you through the planning stages. And what I love is your ministry has like kind of takes it from there if someone wants, because you have the seeds and provide these resources for the growing of how to do that. So I just love you guys actually complement one another quite nicely in the different ministries of the Mary garden part. And the other thing I wanted to point out before we share a few other things about the planting is, a person could have a Mary garden and have just like a Mary statue, for example, and they could just, if you're absolutely like not a green thumb, like I said, you don't have to be, but if you're like, I don't even want to go down that road, or I don't have the space for a garden, like maybe I live in an apartment, I can't have a garden, or, maybe that's just, you're just under the gardening. You could just take a Mary statue and then buy like, like a container of plants or flowers, and you could just set that by a Mary statue outside on your deck. If you live in an apartment, you could do that on your deck, but if you want to, you could even do that in your home. So I really want people to kind of have that thought process that you don't have to do this gardening outside, like this more what we are focused on this show, but just for people that don't have the opportunity for like a full out garden, you could do that,
Yes.
or even have it inside. Like I brought into the studio just like a jar of flowers that I got at Aldi, and I just brought one of my Mary statues from home. So you could totally have that on your counter and feel like you have like your own little Mary garden that way. Did you have something that kind of
Well, I
sparked
was
with you
just
too?
gonna also mention that the John Stokes Marian Library also goes through all sorts of different types of Mary gardens, just like you're discussing
Mm-hmm.
dish gardens
Yep.
and bringing them into, the senior centers. They don't have
Oh,
space there,
yeah.
and so creating a little corner Mary garden in the dish even.
Right,
So I just thought
right.
that was just check that website out if you're interested in
For
that.
sure, for sure. Yeah. So really anybody could have a Mary garden, no matter what their situation is or how much room they have or whatever. Anybody can make it work. And two, if you're listening and, you've got some, you've got some sparks and thoughts going on in your mind and you're like, oh my goodness, how do I quite make that happen? I feel like you'd be totally comfortable with them reaching out to you, I'm
Oh
sure.
yes, I love
And
it. I love it.
yes, so we will have your contact information that we will put with the show notes that someone could totally reach out to you or me. And we'd be
Absolutely.
so happy to, because, if you're listening to this, what we really want is for you to feel like you're growing in your faith. And quite often we do that outside of church, liturgically living, the living lit, by kind of mimicking what's going on at church or in the church year. So this time of year in May, you're going to start seeing the Mary statues. You're going to see flowers around the Mary statue at your parish. Many parishes or parochial schools will do a May crowning. So we want you to, if you're listening and you're watching this and you're like, I want to bring that into my life and kind of mirror what the church has going on this time of year. We want to help you do that. So definitely reach out to Melissa or me, and we want to help you do that if you're getting stumped, but you want to make this happen. So Melissa offers, and I brought a few things in to show, she has these grow alongs. So before I show you, and so I'll kind of explain it so that way if you're listening on podcast, You'll kind of know what's going on, but otherwise check out on YouTube. And then we'll also link Melissa's Instagram handle and Facebook. She does have Facebook groups where you do Mary Garden grow-alongs, right? Or is that what you call it, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
we just started this I think about a month or two ago, and it's slowly growing. And anyone who's in the grow along or is interested in learning more about Mary flowers, or just they want some pat on the back, get in that garden. We all need that. I
Yeah.
need that
Yeah.
too. So I just to share progress and share the beauty of our gardens.
For sure, for sure. Yep. So you have that available, and then that's where some of that learning comes in by following you that way. You have a website, which we will share all of. It's actually the Catholic Garden, right? .com.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Yep.
pretty easy to remember. But you sell individual seeds. And what I love about how you sell the seeds is you have everything tied together. So a person could certainly, if you decide you want to Mary Garden, you could, just by seeing different, listening to a show like this or seeing something on Instagram or on Pinterest or whatever, you could go out and go to your, landscape store or Menards or whatever, and you could buy the seeds. Absolutely. Totally. That's a route you can go. But Melissa has taken it a step further, and she sells her seeds, and she has the name of the seeds on there. So I'm going to hold these up here a second. So she has the name of the seed on the back. So there's actually a picture of what the flower is. And then she'll have the name of the flower. I'm trying to do this backwards in the camera. The name of the plant, what it's commonly known as, what it is, and then what the like more faith term I'll say is. So for example, one I'm holding is Cosmos. That's for purity. I would totally butcher the botanical name if I said it, but that's on there. And that one is St. Michael's flower. So she has that information all right on the seed package. And then she has all the directions, like when to start them, how to start them, how long do they take before they're coming up, how tall do they grow, are they an annual or perennial. So I love that you have everything on the actual packet that someone would need. You have your beautiful Catholic garden imagery on here. But you guys, the neatest thing that Melissa and her family does is they tie, so the Catholic Garden is stamped on all their seed packages. They tie them with this sweet rope, and then the best thing ever is they have a Marian medal that they put on their seed packages. I fell in love with that the first time I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness, is that not just the beautifulest thing to honor our Blessed Mother? So you make this so Marian, so special, so it's just so holy looking, so faithful. Like oh my goodness, just so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
When you receive it in the mail, I mean, it's just like, oh, it's so pretty. You just want to like leave it be, but then you're like, but there's seeds, there's more, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna open it. So beautiful. And so then you have this medal, a Mary themed medal that you can, put somewhere, or you could even put on a necklace, whatever. So I love how you tie our Blessed Mother into the packaging of your seed packets. I just love that. And you know what I think I will do, just for the sake of time, so I can have more of you talking and sharing, is I will link a video of an unboxing showing your actual whole box that you can order as an option, which is like a kit, a grow along kit that has everything. I mean, Melissa's thought of everything, the little markers and the little pots to grow them in, and the directions, and prayer for gardeners, saint card. Like, you've just totally thought of everything. It's the neatest thing ever. So that can, we'll link all that to your website and show that. But what else would you like to share about your ministry? Because this really has become just this organic ministry for you, like I said earlier, where you've just invited people along the journey. That is something that was natural and beautiful and something you loved. And I'm just so thankful that you have started sharing with the rest of us and inviting us along. So what else would you like to share of your ministry, things you've gained on the journey?
Well, I do want to also mention that the importance of having kids involved in this too.
Oh, yes.
I'm a homeschool mom, so I do this with my children, and the ease of doing it with kids. They just naturally gravitate to dirt,
They do.
So they love planting the seeds. They love the stories. I put in the Mary Garden Kid Club kit. I mentioned that they become Mary Flower ambassadors, because I feel like they can go out and share this with others, and they just love telling the stories, and they love the stories. They walk by and they'll point out, hey, that's Mary's eyes. It's the forget me
Yeah,
not, but it's Mary's eyes, and they remember that.
for
So
sure.
especially for kids, the grow alongs are so easy. I choose flowers that are very easy to grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyone, I mean, you could just leave them out and they'll grow for you. So,
I've started mine and they're doing pretty good. Remember, I'm not a green
oh,
thumb, but
good.
it's going good. I have them in my little trays and
Well, I did have one that my toddler tipped over.
oh, that's always a
So,
bummer, but
yeah, but that's how it is. That's how it is with me.
right, right. Well, I've just been so happy getting to know you, and like I said, I'm benefiting from watching what you're sharing in ways to not only grow a garden and grow a flower, grow a seed, but to get to know our Blessed Mother more and grow in our faith. And the other thing I wanted to share with people before we go is that you have also come up with this amazing curriculum. It is wow. I was like, holy smokes, when you sent it to me to share. I saw that you offered it and then you so generously shared it with me. And I'm a homeschool mom too. And also, just being like a former DRE and things like this, I was like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. So it's called Mary's Garden of Flowers, and it's a Bible and nature study. And Melissa composed this whole thing. You guys, it's incredible. So you have it walks through different weeks. What I'm planning to do with my kiddos is actually start it here pretty soon, but I don't know if we'll take a week, I think we'll just kind of just go through however long it's going to take us. But you have, it is all laid out. All you need is this book, and then you have all the links you need, to, different book, different article. You've provided, it talks about, the connection of the Mary flowers, right? So each one is kind of a different theme, right? Each week, it looks like.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you have different crafts and different activities included in this. If someone is a crafty person, but you wouldn't have to be, right? You could just do, take
Oh, yeah.
out of this whatever.
I'm not a crafty person at all.
Oh
So,
my goodness, really? I would have never known that by looking at this book. But so there's so many things. There's color pages, there's tracing pages, there is some, artsy crafty things if you want to do that. And you've explained it so well. And you have all these just tremendously awesome, oh my goodness, this is like a buffet. This is this is
it's
awesome.
great. I mean,
This isn't
even
just going to Burger
adults
King.
could
This is a
be- I
buffet.
think even adults would, I've actually had, some people on Instagram reach out to me and say, I want to buy that for myself.
Yes, same. I
I'm
was
like,
actually
yes,
the same
please
way.
do.
Yeah, when I saw it too, I'm like, regardless if I do this with my kids or not, I'm doing it for me.
Yes.
Because what a way to get to just grow with our Blessed Mother. And who doesn't love flowers along with it, right? So I will put a link to that book there as well. But I am just so thankful for you. And through talking to you and I have just kind of had the similarity too of just the Lord has invited us into something that we love, and then is like, oh, hey, maybe you could share it with somebody else.
Yes.
And so I just love that this ministry for you has just happened organically, and that you are following where the Lord is leading you. And I know that your goal too is just to keep pointing everybody in Mary's direction and ultimately to our Lord. So thank you for being that light and helping us to grow. I'm very appreciative of all the effort you put
thank you so
into
much.
the things you provide. And
Really a blessing and a joy. I'm just overwhelmed with joy.
oh,
The garden and just learning so much about our Blessed Mother, and it's just been just wonderful, just a wonderful journey for me. So
and I can see it. You radiate
inviting
that.
you here.
Oh, this has been great. It's fun that we've been forming a friendship through the Graham and ultimately just through ministry. So I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to just chatting again because I know you have just a wealth of information. So thank you for the things you've shared and just your encouragement to help those on their journey. And yeah, just what a great way to honor our Blessed Mother. And if the gift of flowers, if you do plant flowers and they're perennials, it'll be the gift that keeps giving.
Yes.
Year after year, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Melissa. And thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll be sure to link all of these great resources, and be sure to reach out to Melissa or me if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns. Happy gardening. Thanks for joining us today. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Living Lit, and reach out with topics you'd like tackled at livinglit@sfcatholic.org. And be the light, shine the light, share the light, and live lit.